Hello there, this is Reece Russell, and you're watching the Weekly Steelchair.
It's my life in the box in front of me. Taking talk in my arms is the soul of me. You walk by, ask to see me laid face down.
What's up, everybody? How are we doing? Welcome back to the Weekly Steelchair, where pro wrestling is fun, good people are welcome, morons aren't accepted, and we're here to have a laugh. So, how is Tricks? How is things, everybody? Let me hear you, because we're certainly in for quite a show. We are certainly in for quite a show, aren't we? At least. That depends on who's talking. But I think the real question is, who won? Who won? Was it me? No. I didn't win, annoyingly. But what we got was some sheer excitement of sorts. Roy Sheen, I can confirm you had the best start out of everybody. In terms of the actual results of the matches, you had the best start. It just went all downhill after that. However, that's what we get. That's what we're dealt with. But don't worry. Do not worry about it. We're certainly going to get in the round. We're going to get right out there. Zodiac absolutely did not win. Zodiac lost his championship. I can confirm that he did lose. Which is understandable. Because Zodiac got beat clean. Like, there's no other way to describe it. Zodiac got beat clean. Zodiac, I can comfortably confirm neither of those two won. I will reveal the winner in just a minute. I'm looking for something. Have some patience, Catherine. Jesus. Glenn didn't win because Glenn didn't take part. The treachery that he is. But that's okay. It happens. But who did win? Well, that's a good thing that you're not a Sith Lord. You're a freaking Padawan. Don't worry, I will absolutely confirm who won for you. So, because you've asked, and you've got virtually no patience, which is okay. And like I say, I do have a little thumbnail for it, because it's good to have a wee thumbnail. Spit it out. Okay, this is what I was looking for. I've got what I was looking for. But yes, your new champion. Oh, yep, so I was. What I was saying there is I can confirm that Fernando didn't just win. Fernando actually had the most consistent run of results throughout the show itself. That's how he won. Roy Sheen actually had the best start out of everybody. Roy Sheen is the only person to get the first 4 matches correct. I had a very bad run. I had a very bad run throughout the whole show. Myself and James actually got the same 4 in a row wrong. And we got the tag champions. So me and James actually tied for the worst out of the show. The former champion has gone backwards. Well, the former champion. So James, me and you've got to step up for Forbidden Door. Let me just fix that. There we go. Forbidden Door is circling the calendar. I'm aiming to win. Like I've had enough. I'm winning Forbidden Door. Me did predict the exact same. That is correct. I'll tell you what clinched it for Fernando. I can reveal scores in a minute. I will comfortably tell you how Fernando won this entire show. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, and I've got the receipt, but someone can go and check. Fernando changed his mind from the system to first class. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that was the result that Fernando changed. Yeah, thought so. That's what clinched it for Fernando, changing it to first class. Only 3 people on the whole show predicted first class. Abul, Roy Sheen, and Fernando. Everyone else picked the system. Of course, Maria was the only person to predict Matt Cardona apart from Roy Sheen. They're the only 2 people who picked Matt Cardona on the night. Roy Sheen also picked Moose, which was very interesting, and she picked Cedric Alexander. So there were some diverse choices throughout the whole show. I think the one result everybody will be, well, there's 2 results for me, obviously, that disappoint me the most, but one of them is just for the sake of we're so screwed. It absolutely was the winning move. So, ladies and gentlemen, in the chat, one more time, big round of applause to Fernando, please. And Fernando, you will defend your World Predictions Championship at Forbidden Door. You have a week, sir, to prepare, and you will defend your championship. The way I will not reveal it is every show we do, the name of the show, some talking points, the former or current champion will be on the thumbnail. The new champion will have a thumbnail of their own. So as noted, this is for you, Fernando. Of course, I will be on every thumbnail because I'm actually starting to like it. But Fernando, you are the holder of the championship. Try not to blow it, like Big Show did at TLC in 2011. Yes. Success, of course, goes to Fernando. And we do have a lot to get through tonight, folks. If anybody who watched the show wants to come on and do this with me, you're more than welcome. Of course, it wouldn't be the weekly steel chair without one disclaimer. That fatal four way women's because considering obviously one of them still operates under a women's division, the rest of them operate under the knockouts division. That fucking match is going to be obliterated on tonight's show. Not one woman, not two women, not three. Every single one of them. None of that sentimental bullshit. 11 women are about to feel wrath. Who came in second? Ooh, let's see. It was pretty much a tie. Abu, Larkbark, Maria, or Catherine all came second. You all tied with 6 points. To think I gave that lump of coal, Sammy Callihan, a prediction point. I'm not even kidding, James. It is honestly the worst knockouts match, in my opinion, since Victory Road 2009, Jenna versus Charmel. That's how bad it was. The Hardys should never have won. That was pathetic. The Elegance brand again retaining their titles when they were horrible. The System, I was surprised they lost. And Mustafa Ali, ugh. I picked Sami because I thought they were going to turn him heel. I thought they were going to turn Sami heel and run him as a heel. But no, he's decided to retire. And fair enough. But at least he went out on an extreme match rather than a godforsaken Cusio match. But Jesus wept. It was a horrible match, James, and that's what I compare it to. It was so horrible. And I've seen people praising that match last night. I've physically seen people praising it, and they praised the interference angle, and I'm like, you lot are so stupid. 100%, Mustafa Ali should have won. Like, if Matt Cardona's going to win, why are you doing the drag down after he hits his finisher? That defeats the purpose of a finisher as well, in my opinion. Hooray! He hit the 450. 1, 2, not full cover. Bridge over. Fuck off. Just have him like go for the 450, knees up, and then he bounces down. Then he hits him in a cradle pin. But no, it's always going to be this stupid shit. Apart from that, apart from one or two little silly things and one decision that really annoys me, I thought the show was actually okay. Like, I didn't hate Emergence. Emergence is the pay-per-view. It's more like a special in a way. Like it's like a mini pay-per-view. The difference is at least you get title matches. Forbidden Door predictions are definitely going to be on Saturday. Because the day on the show, I have a driving lesson, and I'll be back like 2 hours before Forbidden Door. We might do a watch along. For Forbidden Door. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, before we get into this, what is your overall thoughts of Emergence? Let me hear what you have to say. Let me know what you've got, what you're thinking. Let me hear you. Again, if you liked it, tell me why. If you didn't like it, I absolutely love to hear it. I certainly hope so, Zodiac. I think we do have a chance to hit the target. Well, not the direct target, but the hypothetical target. We could still hit 500 by the end of the year. Like, there's a chance. I'm not saying I'm guaranteed, but if the watch long goes well, if we end up doing it, we certainly could. Yeah, I thought the pace of the show was quite good. I agree. That's a fair positive. But yeah, there were some parts, Catherine. Like for example, the no DQ match, the fatal four way, and I would honestly have to say the world title match. It felt obvious, but I do agree. I thought the pace was good. There were some matches on here that were really good to watch. If the Hardys seriously are they going to do it as a bloody non-title? Yeah, I'm glad for Zaya too. I think Zaya's really good fit for TNA. Nah, the women's tag match was horrible, Fernando. That was one of the worst matches I've ever seen. I don't know how people can like that match. I really don't. Like, there's something about that match. That match is like an illness. If that doesn't prove my point about why Dana Brooke is an absolute clusterfuck, then nothing will ever prove it to you people. That anyone in general is watching. Absolutely disgusting. God. But yeah, so let's do this. Oh, there's no way Takeshita's pulling off that, mate. No way. Evil is 100% going to. Takeshita's not winning this. There's nothing for Takeshita to get out of this by winning. Even if he wins G1, it's a pointless thing. See if they did. If they did, then there's no defending the situation. Yeah, Takeshita's at the G1, yeah. Same with, funnily enough, Hiromu Takahashi was at Dynamite the other night. He was back in Noah last night. He went from Dynamite all the way back to Pro Wrestling Noah. Same. That's why we're kind of glad that they didn't win. But it's going to make it worse when I can see it coming. And also, I'd love to know why JC Jane is not. Actually, I'm going to ask. I'm actually going to ask this right now. I want to see who actually gives me a fair answer. Why does the Knockouts title have to be defending a triple threat heatwave and not on a TNA event? Why? Why? Tomorrow, yes. Evil's winning tomorrow. He is going to pin Takeshita in the middle of the ring. I told you guys as well. I told you that Evil would make either Yota or Shota. He would make them pass out to the Darkness Scorpion. If that doesn't tell you how confident we are, that's what it is. I was that confident on Wednesday night. I said that 100% it was going to happen. Whoever gets Evil will pass out. Unfortunately, it was Yota Tsuji. She's terrible. She's genuinely terrible. And you've got TNA fans praising her as champion. This used to be a division that was proud on women that could wrestle, and now you've got someone who can't even lace a pair of boots properly as champion. I generally can't take this shit seriously. Bingo. Oh, she is. Marsha will leave. And I wouldn't blame her as well when it comes to that. I'm at that point now where I'm sick of saying the words, I'm sick of being proven right. Like, I want to be proven wrong. I'm sick of being proven right about this shitty partnership. Stupid accounts out there praising saying, "Oh, the WWE TNA partnership is nothing like the AEW New Japan CMLL partnership." Well, actually, it is because that partnership, at least, is not their fault that they're losing talent. They choose to ignore this. They claim that it's AEW's fault that they've lost all their stars. That Japan lost their stars. No, it's the Japanese fucking economy isn't as strong as it used to be. The yen isn't as strong anymore. Like, there's some logic for you. Look at the strength of the yen right now. That's why Jay White, that's why Okada, Will Ospreay, hell, Gabe Kidd right now so strong in New Japan, AEW, Takeshita, the Bucks, Kenny. They would be in Japan full time. They would have left AEW a long time ago and gone back to Japan. Plain and simple. Not many people are going to like that I've just said that. But I am a fan of both companies. I can say it cleanly and I can say it with my eyes open. The age of the TNA WWE partnership is not a partnership. It's a monopoly that people are blinded by. Oh yeah. The funny thing is, WWE can also walk away from it, but force any potential buyer to effectively get lost because they can just go, nah, which is actually quite harmful as well. Now, unlike the safe thing is though, when it comes to booking shows and pay-per-views, TNA don't make as much mistakes as WWE. But when they do make a mistake, you're not gonna forget it. Like, you're really not gonna forget, you know? So the amplification is big. But like I say, there's some elements of the show that is actually good. There's a lot of good wrestling on this show. It's just annoying that some of the results deflate the purpose. But what I don't understand is why people blindly support it. Why do they blindly support it? Why do they not stand up for it? I don't understand that. Like, someone please make that make sense for me, you know? Like, That's a genuine question. Someone please make that make sense for me. What's up, Nick? How are you, sir? Ain't that for sure, Abdul. Catherine, that's also a right way to put it as well. That's the manner I see it. You know what's funny as well now? See all the accounts that were saying, no, 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 they're not going to buy TNA. It's not going to happen. It's all good. Now they're all saying, "Oh, we don't want WWE to buy TNA. We just want it to go well. We want them to do things on their own and succeed." Where's that attitude, that energy come from all of a sudden? And Nick, you're such a good man. Thank you, sir. Chilling by the pool must be roasting for you. Like it's still roasting here for me, and it's 9 o'clock at night. But let's get into this show. And if it, like I said earlier on, if anybody would like to come on and do this review, you're absolutely more than welcome. I only have one request. Smile and wave. Smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave. There is another thing as well that did go very wrong. I didn't watch, but I have questions. You're more than welcome. What do we think, lads and ladies? Shall we invite Nick on? Yeah? Yeah, let's get Nick on. Yeah, it would be. I think it's a good idea as well. If anyone wants to come on, you're more than welcome. Bring your lard asses in here. The amount of people I can have on here is like what, 6 at a time? 8? I think I can have 6 at a time. Maybe more. So if a lot of people want to come on, you're more than welcome. But obviously, please do like, share, and subscribe. I really would appreciate it. Like I say, I don't have a numerical target. I just have a fun target, and that's way up here and higher and higher and higher, and we just keep on going. Tell you what made it difficult as well, and I'm kind of glad I didn't watch the pre-show. The the stream actually collapsed last night. Like the connections last night for the streams on several platforms like YouTube actually collapsed last night for TNA. So their pre-show was going into major problems. So so I've got no clue what happened there, but that did happen. But I think, well, actually, it wasn't even on YouTube. But like overall, if you did watch, it did go badly. There was another thing as well that I found really depressing. Before the main show started, the main card was like they did the overall like this is the main card, fine, these are the matches. Only one match got a considerably big pop. Can anyone guess what match that is? Catherine, we all know that you were watching it on Tony Khan's hat. You meddlesome witch. But only one match got quite a loud and obvious pop reaction during the card rundown last night. Can anyone guess what match that was? Wouldn't surprise me, considering the fact he's over here. Ah, there we go. Abel, you are correct. You're on mute, sir.
There we go. There we go.
Hello.
Cheers, buddy.
How you doing?
Living the dream. Living the dream, sir. You
I
gotta
can
throw
see-
these up.
I can see that. Like you got a hat, you got a federo, you've got shades. You're absolutely chilled in.
We're just sitting. I'm at my parents' this weekend. Linda T's not so Airbnb.
Sounds about right.
We're just
Everybody
chilling by the pool, enjoying the weekend. I'm actually not near better half. She's taking care of Jackson and the fur baby, but we're all enjoying the last New Jersey.
Nice. Nick is ready to play poker.
I used to play a lot, but then you think that you can't wear the glass because it reflects your car.
That's true. That is true. There's always a way to win.
That's fair. If you get the right hands, it doesn't really matter, I guess. So, all right. So I got some questions. Well, really, one major one. And I don't mean to because you know this. We're not. I'm fat and out of shape, so I don't mean to body shame anybody. But what happened with Sami Callihan over the last? I don't even know. I remember him being a cruiserweight.
No, it's an excellent question. I think it's definitely got to do with his more recent injury they had. He was injured. I think it was a year ago, just about a year ago, something like that, and he was badly injured, and I think he gained a lot of weight, and I don't think he's been able to manage it at all, by the looks of it. So, I think in a nutshell, I think it's to do with that. I think he's seriously I think he was at the point where he's just done trying to care.
He's a mind though. He's such a great mind for the business too.
Yeah, I do like Sami Callihan. I think as a creative individual, I think he would be vital in that creative team. I would honestly smack out Tommy Dreamer and replace him with Sami Callihan. I don't think Tommy Dreamer's got it either. I think he's got the right mind for this. I think he should be in GCW where it makes more sense for him.
I agree. Honestly, I would say with Scott D'Amore being out of TNA for so long, Sami Callihan, that might be a nice transition for him into creative. At least maybe not the head of creative, right? But give him some opportunities to just show what he can do at a a minor level. But the guy cut great promos. His character work was really well done. He just whether injuries or things like that, he just never really got a fair rap of it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like it was quite a serious injury he had as well. I feel like he just lost his way. He still has some involvement in his promotion, Catherine. Yeah, he still has some involvement. I don't know, I don't know if he's fully focused on it. He might actually be stepping away. Actually, I want to go concentrate on that. Which is, again, I've got no issue with that. I just don't want it to be another Cody Deaner situation where he loses and then he comes back in a mask, because that's already embarrassing enough. I don't want to see that. I'm sick of this this hometown man gimmick. This isn't the 1980s anymore. You can't get away with a loser leaves town, you come back in a mask. It doesn't work anymore.
Unless you're El Grande Americano.
Everybody seems to get a shot at that mask.
I really think, and this is upsetting, because there's two levels to this. I do think WWE's going to end up buying TNA.
Yeah.
And if they don't, I do see too much of an influence that TNA is never going to be It's not going to be a third independent promotion because they're so influenced by WWE that you can't consider them. And that's kind of how I feel like it's going to go.
No, I think that's fair. I think the more TNA stays close to WWE, the more they lose their identity and it gets swept away from them. And there's people who are out there, honestly, yeah, Zodiac says WWE Light. In a way, it kind of is. I mean, for me, what really set me over the edge before the title changes, what set me over the edge was the decision after the Macklin versus Eric Young dog collar match. It came out saying, TNA are no longer going to do excessive blood anymore because it will affect sponsors. And I'm like, that doesn't affect sponsors. It's WWE just being a whinge. I'm like, come on, like this is a joke.
You just say what sponsor? Who's sponsoring TNA now? Like their sponsors are like monthly. Even AEW to some extent, like right, like you had the Ric Flair, whatever, Woo Energy, and like, but like even month by month, everything with even WWE does their sponsorship deal a 6-month clip. It's not really like that long term. Like 6 months is really not that crazy a contract, you know. And a lot of it has to do with the locations that they're in.
Yeah,
and like,
I agree.
Never struck me as like I get it. You need the money. It's very much a fabricated comment that you feel like it's kind of what's the word? Like a figurehead, just getting the lines from somebody else, and then just
it's that political prompter. It's like the politicians like, I know what I want to say, but I've got the prompter saying actually say this instead, and I'm like, just if TNA, honestly, if Carlos Silva, who is the biggest fraud, if he came out as the president of Anthem and just said, no, actually, we want to be like WWE and we want to eventually feel like it might be in the best interest where we still retain our name, but we are owned by WWE and we've got our own creative. If he came out and said that, I would have been less annoyed. I still would have been annoyed that they are actually going down that path, but I would have been less annoyed because at least they said it from the very start. I feel like they are constantly gaslighting their fans, and there's some fans who picked up on it from day one and went, yeah, I was hesitant at first. I was thinking maybe there should be some positives. Like I want to see how it goes. But then very early on, they started making decisions, and I'm like, nah.
Well, and what's interesting to me is like comparatively, right? Like they just, again, TNA is not owned by WWE, but there is
so
that
close,
partnership. Yeah. But AAA, right? And AAA is a good example. Who's announcing this weekend?
Corey Graves and GBL tonight.
Yeah, and like I don't know. I mean, again, you probably follow way more than I do, but like I know he's clotheslined a couple people, but like, why is JBL doing the announcing for AAA?
He's got no connection except the fact that he's just went across North America clotheslining people across promotions. That's all he's done.
It's a crossover. Yeah, it's a crossover that you're hoping that works for WWE fans to go to and purchase AAA. But like, I'm not like the hardcore WWE fans that are like, oh, JBL clothesline whoever from AAA. They're already watching it, and they're more than likely, I'd be willing to bet, say upset about like some of the stuff that's happening because you're corporatizing the product that's like an indie, and like, yeah, that's all. To my point, like, that's all you need to see is JBL is announcing AAA, like, and Corey Graves. I mean, like, I get it. Conan should be part of that.
That's what I was saying. Like, I would understand if Conan was on with Corey Graves. Like, you know what? That's okay, but it just doesn't make sense. And yeah, Catherine, I get it. GBL is on a Legends deal, but a Legends deal doesn't give him the right to then go and be on Triple A and do their commentary. That doesn't equate to making any sense, because what does he know about the product? Literally nothing.
Legends deal just means that you're important to WWE, and what matters is like the presentation of how you're presented to the WWE audience. And it's like the same thing. It's like, I'm sure Hulk Hogan had a Legends deal with WWE, but like, did he need three memoriams, like things like that? There's a lot of different things that happen with the Legends deals that like that makes sense. And it's just about having the intellectual property right for WWE.
Well,
Of like, oh, if JBL wants to do, if they come up with, like, let me give you an example, like stupid example, right? Like they come up with a bar themed show similar to ours. They could do it with the APA, and they could say, all right, well, I have JBL on a Legends deal. Let's do something to the Good Brothers, right? Like, but guys, I got to run. Actually, my family's just getting home from crabbing, so.
That's one way to say hello. You are spot on. I don't disagree with you. I think that's the impact of it. You know, it's not great.
Yeah, so we'll see how things go, but I want to check in with you, Reece. Pleasure as always. We'll get Nikki on. I'm not with her tonight, but we'll get it on maybe for Friday.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, definitely get you on very soon.
All right, buddy. Well, pleasure as always.
Peace, brother. You know what they say? Family is the wildest interruption. What can I say? I do bring the fun and games for everybody. But that was Nick from the Happy Hour. The Nick Teodoro. He's a very lovely man. Very lovely man. Him and his wife do a podcast together, and I do watch them, so it's always a good laugh. And Fernando, what can I say? I'm genuinely naturally funny. I can't help myself. But here's a genuine question. Brentford signed Oatara. Okay. Interesting. But here's my question. How far away is it before eventually someone loses their identity? Like, there was no reason for TNA to sign up with WWE. Massive pleasure as well, sir. Thank you. It's always good to speak to you. And also, for context, ladies and gentlemen, Triple A is actually on tonight on YouTube. Currently, she is horny. She is always horny. Catherine is the top fan with 150 XP. Fernando is close behind on 125. Then Glenn, Abel, James, well, basically everyone else is catching up on 70s and 50s. Honestly, I still need to figure out how you get more points. Here's one point. One major point. If the Hardys versus Team 3D is for the tag team titles at Bound for Glory, then Jesus Christ, we are screwed. It's so much value that TKO are in debt, and TKO and TNA are just happy to jump along. I've said it before and I'll say it again. TNA doesn't need WWE. It is a complete waste of time. They don't need them. And I'll say this as well, because people only think, oh, it's one-sided. My bias towards a prediction. I said it as well at the time. TNA doesn't need AEW either. Quite frankly, if Tony Khan was the owner of TNA himself, if TNA was honestly bought out by Tony Khan himself, TNA would have been completely fine. Absolutely, they didn't need them. Carlos Silva is a clown. Absolutely, Maria. Spot on. No truer statement. But yeah. And we're going to come on to Carlos Silva tonight as well. Don't you worry. But let's begin, shall we? So, in the chat as well, here's the funny thing. On other wrestling promotions, you can find out how long a match went. Obviously through their Wikipedia page, right? See if you want to get the exact times for wrestling matches for TNA, you've got to look elsewhere because you don't get them on Wikipedia. They don't put up the match times, which is really strange. What does Silva know about wrestling? The only thing he knows about wrestling is the fact that it's a business. That's it. But he's an absolute cockwomble. Dynamite is going to crush Impact. If they go to Wednesday nights, here's the funny thing I don't understand. Why? And I actually brought this up last night, and I know a lot of people were paying attention on this. But why do we need to have a Wednesday night war between TNA and AEW? Why do we need to force lanes? TNA have got their own lane. They're out of not in a dismissive way. They're out of a conversation. But TNA are not involved in this conversation. They shouldn't be. Like, what's up, Ashton? How are you, brother? Like, TNA are not in this to compete. TNA are meant to be rebuilding themselves, maintaining their brand consistently, and producing the next young top talent that's enjoyable to watch. Why do we have to force this conversation? I'm sick of it being, WWE versus this, AEW versus that, TNA are now versus this. Like, there's only one successful competition right now that's actually shown. People seem to change the narrative about who AEW is competing against. In my opinion, the only competitive race in wrestling right now is New Japan versus Pro Wrestling Noah. That is the only tangible competition right now that actually makes sense. AEW versus WWE doesn't make sense because people keep saying they're not up against the main roster. Glenn. It's always the goalpost changing. One week it's AEW got absolutely crushed by NXT. The next week it's actually AEW versus Raw or SmackDown. Make your minds up. NXT is WWE. You can't pick and choose. And last time I checked, and here's a fact, NXT is doing quite well right now in terms of ratings. But NXT got bullied off Wednesday nights. Why is New Japan never in the discussion, the promotions war? Because they stay in their, to quote Dutch Mantel, they stay in their lane. Their aim is to be the best wrestling promotion, but also the best in Japan. All they have to do is actually beat Noah. They need to stop Noah from maintaining their grip. Because that's what's holding New Japan back. Is Noah's pushing ahead of them. But I honestly... I honestly feel like anybody who wants an AEW versus TNA war, especially if you claim to be a TNA fan, you're not a TNA fan because you're forgetting something very important. 15 years ago, well, 15 years ago, 8 months and 12 days ago, TNA moved to Monday nights. They moved to Monday nights to compete with WWE after years of trying to be their own separate entity. We're going to go and compete with Monday Night Raw. They did better ratings until Bret Hart showed up on Raw on the same show. Yes, Hogan had the higher segment, but Bret Hart stole the rating that week. And they were doing... TNA were doing okay, but then they bottled it after like 6 weeks. They went back to Thursdays. The same period of time that the forums are kicking in. Oh, TNA don't stand a chance against WWE, especially going into WrestleMania season. TNA are doing this. They're focusing too much on Hogan and Bischoff's ideas that aren't working. XYZ, blah, 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 blah. TNA fans were getting absolutely bombed by WWE fans. 2-on-1, 3-on-1, 4-on-2. It felt like a genuine handicap match. All of a sudden, they're now forgiving WWE and they're welcoming them in. These are the same fans that tried to have TNA killed 15 years ago. Like, please make that make sense. I never forgave WWE for that. I never forgave the fans for it. So why all of a sudden should I be saying this partnership is great? That is being a realist. That's a real one's attitude. And yeah, that Monday night, that midget Monday Night War was embarrassing. It definitely, exactly, Maria, it makes no sense at all. You know there's WCW fans that hate the fact that Hogan put Rock over at WrestleMania 18. Plain and simple. Do you know that? There are genuine WCW fans that hate Hollywood Hogan putting over The Rock at WrestleMania 18 in Skydome. How crazy is it that WCW a year prior was bought by Vince McMahon, but WrestleMania 18 a year later is what really killed the belief and the feeling of WCW for those fans. How crazy that's not a joke. I'm not making that up. That's a genuine fact. Their argument was, what does Rock have to gain from this? Oh yeah, 100% Fernando. They should have gave the ball to Paul Heyman. We would never have got the Jeff Hardy Immortal heel run if Paul Heyman was in charge. But we would have had Bryan Danielson as the TNA World Champion feuding with Kurt Angle and AJ Styles. I know what I would have preferred. Yeah, like, the thing is, Catherine, TNA might actually get a decent TV deal. They might get the CW network. But just because you get the CW network doesn't mean people are going to watch. The subconscious is already there. If I said it at the very start of this partnership, and I've been proven right every single time. If this was meant to be a partnership that goes well, why is there one thing we don't know? We still do not know what the actual ratings are for TNA. Yes, you can go to live shows and WrestleTix can reveal how many people went to Slammiversary. But we don't know what the genuine ratings are on Anthem TV or Anthem Entertainment Network for TNA. We don't know what the ratings are. All we know is they're still their highest rated show on their network. It could be 50,000 people, could be 80,000 people, could be 120. Hell, TNA could be getting 200k a week, for example. But we don't know what they're getting. We don't know their true rating. Like, they have got that tight as like Dixie Carter. Dixie Carter did the same thing when it came to pay-per-view buy-ins. She literally just said, we done a little bit better than the last show. She never revealed the numbers. So how on earth do we know what TNA are going to do? Because, by the way, that's something that Anthem have got to realize. If they go to CW, if TNA goes to CW, the ratings are coming out. WWE fans aren't watching TNA. They're barely watching from the NXT crowd. And when some NXT fans creep in, they're only chanting for Trick Williams. That's it. And he's a nobody. Yeah, they should have went for the right mindset in Paul Heyman. And Paul Heyman said himself, if Paul Heyman had taken the TNA job, he would have got rid of all the... He would have got rid of all the old guys. He would have... I think the only old guy I think he would have genuinely kept was Kurt Angle. I think he would have said goodbye to Sting. Which is understandable. You know what I mean? Like... I think he would have kept Kurt Angle because Paul Heyman loves Kurt Angle. And Kurt Angle was only still like mid-30s. Whereas the like of Sting, who was like mid to late 40s. Mick Foley would have been gone. Kevin Nash would have been released. I think Team 3D would have been released. We would never have seen the Clowns... the Nasty Boys, they would never have got back, thank God. Bubba the Love Sponge would never have been in TNA. I don't think RVD would have been in TNA. Because he was, even though he was incredibly fit and flexible, I think it goes against what Heyman was saying. Scott Steiner would have been gone, yep, 100%. I think it's not that he can't let go of Sting, but Sting was the second highest earner. But I think he would have let him go because it fits to what he was saying. Here's another thing as well. He would have let Jeff Jarrett go as a talent. Keep him as a creative individual, but he would never let him back in the ring. Ric Flair would never have been in TNA if Paul Heyman was in charge. Actually, see whilst we divert. So this is the TNA roster, what, 2009? So late 2009 into 2010. Yeah, Sting was a positive. There's nothing against that. There's nothing against that at all, Maria. It's the... What I'm saying is... Rhino as well would have been gone. What I'm saying is Paul Heyman said they would have been gone. I think Sting maybe have kept around as an attraction, perhaps, but he would never have been like a main player anymore because he was older. If he kept him as a special attraction, I would have been happy with that. But let's have a look at this roster. There's a lot of people here that absolutely would get binned. Voodoo Kin Mafia would have been gone 100%. So, this is the roster in 2009. Let me just share my screen. So, in terms of who would stay, Abyss, AJ, Alex Shelley. If I'm just doing a bachelor, we'll do men and women first. So, yes, yes, no, yes, 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 no, no, yes, no, 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 yes, even though he was shit as this gimmick. Yes, no, no, yes, hell no, yes, yes, hopefully yes, definitely no. Creative individual they should never have got rid of, but yes. Eric Young was still young at the time, so he would have stayed. Homicide and Hernandez, yes. This wanker would never have been signed. James Storm, yes. Jay Lethal was only mid-20s, yes. Jeff Jarrett would be in creative. Jeremy Borash, obviously. Jesse Neal would have been kept. Jim Cornette would have stayed as a creative with Paul Heyman, 100%. Jimmy Rave, absolutely. He was awesome. Kevin Nash would be gone. Kiyoshi would stay. Kurt Angle would stay. Lance Hoyt would probably be used better. Good old Lance Archer. Matt Morgan would have stayed and been world champion under Paul Heyman. Mick Foley would be gone. Mike Tenay would still be on commentary. Tetsuya Naito was on excursion, but he would have been kept. Nigel McGuinness, yes. Pete Williams would have went back to his proper gimmick. Raven would be on creative. Rhino would be gone. Rob Terry would actually be gone, in my opinion. Samoa Joe would not be looking like that, but he would be there. Savio would be gone. Scott D'Amore would still be on creative. Scott would be gone. Shane Douglas would still be there as creative. Oh, Matt Morgan would have been there. He would have been fine. Macho Man's health just got bad for him, and then he walked out. Shark Boy would have stayed. Sheik Abdul Bashir would have been fine. Sonjay Dutt would be fine. Sting, you know what, match? I'm 50-50. Suicide would have stayed. Sylvain Grenier, didn't really matter. He did nothing anyway. Taz, commentary, I suppose. Tom Cole would be gone. Trevor Murdoch, I don't even remember him being there. And Yujiro, he would be gone. The women, Alyssa Flash, don't really remember her. Angelina Love, yes. Awesome Kong, definitely. Christy Hemme, yes. Daphne would 100% still be there. Fuck Dixie Carter. Hamada, yes. Jackie Moore as experience would actually be kept. Crystal Lashley, don't give a shit. Lacey Von Erich, she would have been released because she can't wrestle. Madison Rain would be kept. ODB would be kept. Sharp Boy was so good. Raka Khan would have been released because she sues every fucker anyway. Roxy would have been kept. Sarita would have been kept. Charmel would have been booted out the door. SoCal Val would be kept. Tara would have been kept 100%. Taylor Wilde would go back to being champion. Tracy Brooks, she didn't really do much anyway. Velvet Sky, she would have been kept. They wouldn't be a team. They would be a team. 1, 2, 3. Yes. They would be split. Doug Williams would be on his own. They would be gone. Stay, 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 stay. Get to fuck. Yeah, this was a horrible team. They would have still been a tag team. Beer Money is my favorite TNA tag team alongside the Naturals, but they should have never been gone. Lethal Consequence would still be a team. This wouldn't be a team or a faction. This wouldn't have happened. They would still be a team. They would be okay. This would be gone. This would never have happened. This is as of Right, so that was from December 09. So let's have a look at, say, if we do the roster, say August 1st, 2010. Let's see how much of a change August 10 is. All right. So what would I change from the 2010 roster? Keep, get rid, keep. I would definitely tell him to mind his be careful of his Twitter and actually watch himself. But I suppose Brian Kendrick was okay. Get rid, keep, get rid, keep. Send him to the gulag. Keep, get rid, keep, gulag, keep. Creative. These two really had a horrible... Generation Me was shocking, but they were a good tag team. Keep, get rid, keep. I would have gave him a safer gimmick. Get rid, keep. Lower mid-card, keep. Creative commentary, get rid. Burnt to a crisp, keep. Kick him out the front door, don't remember him. Creative, get rid. Mid-card, keep. Get rid. Mid-card, get rid. Attraction, keep. Commentary, get rid. Definitely get rid. No, I think Feud of the Year still would have been I still think that year personally, Feud of the Year would have been the Guns versus... To be fair, Jamie versus the Guns in 2010 was good. But then 2011, the tag Feud of the Year definitely was Beer Money versus the Guns. Knockouts division, keep. I would have kept her safe, but keep, because Daphne was just ruined by creative. Send her to Gulag. In 2010, Hamada was going south. Get rid, keep. Definitely keep. Keep. Goodbye. Definitely keep. My favourite from this division besides Daphne and Velvet. Get rid, keep. Jackie sucks. As in Jackie Moore? No. I hated this. This was horrible. This is the only good faction of 2010 except this schmuck. Wankers. They were fun but unnecessary. This did not work. Best tag team. They were getting there, but they just lost out, and they weren't called the Young Bucks on this, they were called Generation Me. Get it right. It's so easy to see where this shit goes wrong. Even 2011, some of the shit here is so bad. Keep. Get rid. Keep. Get rid. I have my doubts, he's still a dick. Keep. Get rid. Keep. Get rid. Get rid. At this point, 2011 Eric Young, I'm starting to debate. Get rid. Keep. Get rid. Keep. Get rid. Get rid. Keep. Change the gimmick, but keep. Get rid. Keep. Get rid. Definitely get rid. Keep. Get rid, because that ugly face. Keep. Get rid. Keep. Get rid. Get rid. keep, get rid, definitely get rid. Oh yeah, the dreads on Hardy, he looked embarrassing. Change the gimmick, keep, get rid, keep, get rid, keep. Oh look, Zelina Vega when she mattered. Keep, get rid, get rid, keep. Honestly, I saved TNA more times than I can count. I deserve a fucking medal. But yeah, let's go through these matches and tell me what you think about. We don't necessarily rate these matches, but if you want to rate them, absolutely go ahead. Daz, yes I do. I think there will be... I do actually think they will bring out a new game, yeah. No idea who's going to make it, but I do think there will be a new one, yeah. I want them to actually include legends properly in the game. I want to see the naturals back into a TNA game. Like, here's your classic teams, here's your current, here's some classic stars, here's your new stars. Like, we should have got that. But they just never gave it to us, which was really embarrassing. But yes, so we begin with the under 15 minutes X Division Championship match. Leon Slater versus Cedric Alexander. Leon Slater does win the match, of course. Match starts with a very quick STO on the apron. Alexander gets a Michinoku driver. Oh, the Naturals are definitely underrated. They're in my top 3 TNA tag teams of all time. The Guns, Beer Money, Naturals. They were incredible. Alexander hits a Michinoku driver for only gets a 2 count, but then starts to work on Slater's back. Again, great strategy because it takes away the diving game from Slater because obviously he relies on his lower body to move. Slater goes for his handspring elbow, but because of the damage, his back collapses on him and he gets caught with a German suplex. Maintains a strong pace. Cedric Alexander again working on Leon Slater any way he can, working the lower back, working the ribs, taking the breath away from the champion. This was very good strategy from Cedric Alexander. I'm not always so keen on Cedric Alexander, but he does have a good match here. I will praise someone where it is due, you know? Oh, of course, Daz. Of course. Like, I will give credit where credit is due to someone, even if I don't like them. Except Dana Brooke. In an attempt to regain some composure, Leon Slater hits Alexander with an inside-out lariat. It does go for the drop kick, and then Alexander goes in the middle turnbuckle. He gets a near-fall cross body. But at this point, this is where the match kicks into overdrive. So Slater attempts to pick up Alexander, but his back gives way. He then gets hit. Slater gets hit with a powerbomb and a Fisherman's Buster for a 2 count. Alexander goes for the lumbar check. Slater holds on from the ropes, forces himself into a superplex position. Slater counters out of a twisting superplex of his own, and then goes for the 450, knees up to counter. Back to his feet, Slater does get caught in a triple German suplex. He goes for the lumbar again, but Slater breaks it. We then get a set of cradle pins. And then we get the backdrop and then the 450 dive over the post. That was a big pop for that. Really good spot. Once more, Leon Slater goes for the Swanton 450, but gets caught in a Spanish fly. Cedric Alexander attempts one more time for the lumbar check, but Leon Slater counters this into a Styles Clash. And then he hits the Swanton 450 for the win. This was an excellent match, from my opinion. This is honestly one of the best matches on the show. If you want to look at an all-round perspective, this match went just under 15 minutes, and it felt like it was 20-25. It felt like they were magnifying the time proportionately, and they executed it very well. My only letdown is I feel like we didn't get to see enough of the champion in adversity. I felt like, in my opinion, this might sound controversial, but in my opinion, Leon Slater should have had less of the offense he actually got in. And I think he should have escaped with the win. I don't think he should have hit the Swanton 450 to win. I actually think, me personally, he should have got a small package to win the match. The reason being is I would like to see Cedric Alexander actually get a second chance at the title. I feel like by losing clean, I don't know how you're going to award him a second championship match. At least that's my opinion, because now Leon Slater's already beat him. Like, what? How does he get another match? You know, like, I would have preferred it have been like he beat him for a small package, like he was lucky to win. It would have been so much more justified. But yeah, for the slow pace start, the match ended on a high, and that is really good to see. After the match, they do get a standing ovation from the commentators. Tom Hannafan and Matthew Remwalt. And then, of course, they do engage in the proverbial handshake. Backstage, No Trick and Second Class are bragging about all the new TV deals that TNA are getting. They claim it's all to do with them, which is bullshit. Trick Williams, of course, apologizes to Mama Moose for involving her and for the quote-unquote whooping he's about to give her son later tonight. I mean, the way he says it, it sounded very, very crap. Like, really depressing shit. Up next, the weird decision time starts to kick in. It's Matt Cardona versus Mustafa Ali. Again, as always, in a Cardona match, it always starts with him circling the ring. Collar and elbow tie-up, which is okay. Matt Cardona, obviously the stronger of the two, the larger of the two. He does gain control quite quickly. He hits the clothesline, turns Ali inside out, and then he hits a flapjack for a 2. Ali gets tossed outside of the ring. John Skyler and Jason Hotch get involved. Yeah, I don't understand this either, Catherine. That's the part that I'm confused with. It makes no sense. Because, again, Matt Cardona's not a signed TNA talent. He's still an indie talent. So why are you having that happen? It makes no sense to me. Through the interference of the Order 4, of course, they do get simultaneous drop kicks from Cardona. Ali then hits Cardona in reverse of a super kick and goes for a powerbomb through the commentator's table, but Cardona slides down his back and escapes. Tasha steals, of course, distracts the referee, and then Skylar hits Cardona with a DDT. That was not so bad. Back in the ring, Mustafa Ali, again, he does one move I think is absolutely beautiful to watch, and it's his rolling neck breaker. Gets a near fall, and then he hits a standing sky twister press. Well, he aimed for it, but missed, and then he got a big clothesline. Cardona hits a face buster. Hits a DDT as well after Ali tries to drop him again. And then Ali rolls out to the floor. Trying to get back in the ring, Cardona hits him with a big boot. This felt like a lot of control for Ali that seemed so unnecessary. Cardona goes for radio silence, but it gets caught with a sit-out powerbomb for a 2 count. Ali, after Cardona gets back to his feet, he charges in at Cardona and he eats a big boot. At this point, Order 4 do interfere, and Ali hits Cardona with a dropkick after he's distracted. Ali then hits the 450, and after this, he does go for that cocky pin cover, and then he gets rolled over into a crucifix position, and Cardona gets the win, which then prompts an impromptu attack from Agent Zero, one of the suits that protects Mustafa Ali and Order 4. They all attack Matt Cardona, to which point the System and the Talking Chipmunk appear to make the save, and we all want to die of shame. I don't understand this at all. Like, this makes no sense. Like, I'm not seeing the excitement here of this, you know? He was on TNA a few times. He did appear before he was given this gimmick. He was one of the Giants who did part of like something like their XWF. When they go, like, TNA does like the old school gimmick shows. He was part of that. So he is a bit of a recurring guy on the product. Obviously, you get the brawl between first class and, well, not first class, sorry, the System and Order 4, which then prompts first class to come out, or as I call them, second class. And that is Rich Swann and AJ Francis versus Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers, accompanied by the Talking Chipmunk herself, Alicia Edwards. 8.5 minutes this match goes. Eight and a half minutes too long. This match starts with Rich Swann getting mugged by both Edwards and Myers. Francis makes the tag, and he really does take control of this match, I will say. He really dominates Brian Myers, but Brian Myers catches Francis with a spear, makes a tag. Edwards comes in, Swann gets the tag from Francis as well. He hits him with a backpack stunner. But the sheer enjoyment that is Francis, he actually does avalanche him into the corner. Edwards hits a blue thunderbomb, gets a 2 count. We then get a big boot from Francis on Brian Myers. And then a pop-up forearm from Francis knocks Edwards on his arse. Francis goes for a suplex, Edwards counters it. Again, Edwards goes for the backpack stunner, but gets blocked. Order 4 comes out and attacks the System. The hanging tree slam, which is the double arm choke slam from Agent Zero on Edwards on the ring apron, causes a lot of damage. Really good sell. Myers gets tossed back in the ring, and then Francis hits him with a choke slam for the pin. Plain and simple. I don't think anyone really cares about this. I mean, I sure as hell didn't. It's not exactly a match or a feud that I'm interested to see. But I suppose. Up next on commentary, first of all, it is Joe Hendry. You don't say his name, he still appears. I don't know either, Catherine. I don't know why he was on commentary for this one. It would have made more sense if he was on, say, I don't know, the commentary for the main event. But hey, that's just my opinion. But of course, he is on commentary for the next match, which is the match that really caught me by surprise. Don't forget to listen to 8-Bit Hendry on Spotify. Oh, God almighty. This one made no sense to me. Like, well, the match made sense in terms of the overall, like, who was involved. It just didn't make any sense for the fact that Callihan lost clean. But now I'm thinking about it. If Callihan is not in a healthy position to compete anymore, then it's nice that he's actually chose to retire against someone he clearly trusts. Because he's not going to get hurt by Mike Santana at all. Like, Santana was incredibly safe with him. So I think that's something that he would have appreciated, that safety in his match. So I think we're good in that way. Before the match starts, Sami Callihan does grab a mic. He does cut a promo, of course. He talks about his friends who are actually in the crowd with him. Wishes them a happy anniversary. And then he lays down the law to Mike Santana, and he tells him that if this is his last night in TNA, if this is his last match, because again, he said that if he does lose, he will retire. He will leave his boots in the ring. Then he wants to go out on his terms, his way, and I absolutely credit and respect that. So we go from a standard exhibition match to a Baltimore street fight. To be fair, if you're in a street fight, there's beating them clean isn't really going to be clean now anyway, but I feel like I feel like you could have still had something with with Callihan as a heel, but he is walking away, I suppose that's his choice. Santana does accept, obviously, after he talks to the crowd, like he gets the crowd up and motivated, so both men circle each other, start the ring. It then leads to just a brawl. We get something I really don't like in pro wrestling, but they did it anyway. We get the clashing headbutts, which raises aggression in both men. Santana hits the Asai moonsault on Callihan. Callihan then, against him, blocks a piledriver attempt that Santana goes for. He tries to hit Callihan with a piledriver, but then he hits him with a big boot. Santana charges at Callihan, but he backdrops him outside. He goes on the apron. Sami finds a chair and then just goes on full barrage assault with it. Callihan walks backstage. Although I thought the fan at this point was funny as well. The fan chants to him, bye, which is generally really funny. But Sami returns with a trash can. Match ends up back in the ring. Callihan used an 8x10 of AJ Francis, a little 8x10 portrait of Flop Dollar. And he gives Santana a good old-fashioned paper cut. Santana gets the chair and throws it. But Callihan hits him with a clothesline. Callihan pulls out the stapler and staples Santana's chest to block, of all things, a sunset flip, which is very clever. Here's a sunset flip staple. Callihan, being a midget, of course, goes to any means necessary, hits a low blow on Santana, and then hits a pile driver for a near fall. The crowd ruined this match by chanting for tables. Santana hits a hurricane run off the middle rope. Callihan blocks this and hits another pile driver, which is very crafty. Santana throws Callihan headfirst into the chair, and then hits a cannonball for a near fall. Santana gets a roll. He hits the rolling cutter, but Callihan rolls out. And then, in homage for some reason to Ric Flair versus Shawn Michaels at Mania 24, Santana gives Callihan the thumbs up, and then hits the discus clothesline. For context, Callihan actually does get his shoulder up in this moment. Like, he does actually get his shoulder up, but the referee does ignore the count, and the match does end. So at this point, the match is the victor to Mike Santana. They really got this wrong, so that was a bad botch by the referee. Which I kind of understand if you want to protect Sami in a way, but that's how he's going to have to retire. He has to retire to a referee's bad call. It's a little bit cheap, if you ask me. Living up to his word, of course, Callihan does take off his boots and leaves him in the ring. A few fans chant, "Please don't go," but he's already like, "Bye, folks, I'm away." And then you get the good old-fashioned thank you, insert talent name chats. Yeah, very cheap indeed. The Fatal 4-Way is the next matchup, but before we do that, Tommy Dreamer is in the ring with Masha Slamovich, Jazz, and Carlos Silva. Mass Sami. I hope that does not happen. I cannot take another mass gimmick that nobody wants. Xia Brookside's Li Ying Li are the first of the Fatal 4-Way participants to... Well, Fatal 4-Way tag team participants to come to appear at the ring. It was at this point, of course, where Tommy Dreamer announced that Li Ying Li has signed a new TNA contract, which I did like. I'm sick of Tubby Dreamer as well, Maria. I can't stand him. But even more so is Carlos Silva. Like the way he hugged Li Ying Li as well, it looked a little bit odd. Like the way he just went up to her and just like straight in, like he didn't just go like, "Oh, would you like hug?" He just walks in and just does it. I'm like, okay. The Fatal 4-Way, of course, is next, which is the Elegance brand that is defending champions versus Cassie Lee and Jessie McKay, the Inspiration, accompanied by Mara Sade. They also face Jasmine Nix and Fallon Henley of the Fatal Influence, with JC Jane in their corner, and Xia Brookside and Li Ying Li accompanied by Masha Slamovich. Again, they were all accompanied by at least one member, apart from the Inspiration, of the Heatwave triple threat for the Knockouts World Championship. This match went 11 minutes 24 seconds, and it was the worst 11 minutes and 24 seconds of my entire life as a wrestling fan. This match was an abomination, and I've never been so disgusted watching a women's wrestling match than I did this one. The last time I did was 100% the Jenna match versus Charmel. And then after that, to be fair, it was Baszler versus Rousey. I was honestly mentally and emotionally disturbed watching this Fatal 4-Way. It was horrible. None of them deserves praise. None of them, I'm going to say this now, even Masha, none of them deserve to be a champion in this match. Like, every single one of them, I would actually replace them with OVW talent, the way they all acted and behaved. I agree, Catherine, there was no need for the interference. None. This was honestly horrible. This is the sort of shit that makes me really disturbed when I'm watching wrestling. There's interference and then there's just absolutely ruining the flow of the match. I'm going to say it. See, before the interference, the match was actually going fine. Like, it wasn't great. It was just going fine. And then they decided to butcher it. And I don't know why. Like, this felt like we were being set up for... It's almost like we're being set up for an unjustified means of enjoyment. But yeah, so for this match, of course, so the match starts with Jessie McKay and Lee. We then get quick tags in. Lee gets a near fall on Fallon Henley after a face buster. We get a foot on the rope thanks to JC Jane. At this point, the tag interactions between the Fatal Influence and the Inspiration is actually quite good. Like, they are actually the more focused unit, I would say, in the match out of the 4 teams. Like, they seem to be the ones that actually do gel together. I will praise the NXT tag team for that. But this is where I was starting to get worried that actually maybe Fatal Influence are going to win, because it felt like a serious tag between those 2 teams. Xia Brookside, Li Ying Li really lost sight of the match, and the champions just didn't want to be in the ring. They just wanted to constantly keep tagging out. It was really poor. After getting the foot on the ropes, JC Jane and Mara Sari fight in the ring. JC Jane would hit the rolling forearm, which would knock Sari out the ring. It was actually a really good forearm. Masha Slamovich would run in. She would do a run-in takedown on JC Jane, to which point, in bare feet, Dana Brooke or Ash by Elegance or Uber-sized Tramp runs in the ring. She gets involved, and then we start a brawl. All 3 get rejected from ringside. Ejected, sorry. Xia Brookside and Li Ying Li hit respective crossbody dives, and then they hit dives on the outside, which is actually quite good. Back in the ring, Casey Lee, she gets caught by M by Elegance with a kick in the back. McKay hits a flying crossbody of her own, and Li Ying Li suplexes M by Elegance. The "This is awesome" chants was what made me laugh, because it was definitely not awesome. This match was the worst on the show. We do get the proverbial, because it's a multi-person match, everybody hits their finishers, but M by Elegance hits Cassie Lee with the Knockouts title belt and gets the pin. This was really bad. Absolutely not, Catherine. Absolutely not. This was genuinely dreadful to watch. If you do watch Emergence, please skip this match for your own safety. Like, you genuinely deserve better. Skip this match. And what was a good recovery match after this is the international title. Steve Macklin defends the international championship against Jake Something in a no count out, no disqualification match. This match was good, but it's a shame that we didn't get to see either of them draw a little bit of color. I feel like this match, because of how brutal both men go, this match should have had some blood in it. Like, there should have been some blood in this match. It's the one negative I have. Frankie Kazarian is on commentary for this match, and he actually does a good job. This match immediately, from the bell goes, it immediately breaks to the floor and gets a big brawl. Once we get back in the ring, both men go for the double clothesline. There's another tables chant. Jesus Christ. The crowd are really poor as well for this one. Like, it's almost like they just couldn't be bothered, which is annoying, but like, both men were working really hard, but the crowd just didn't react. I don't get why. Macklin tries to get out of the ring after being caught with a forearm, but he obviously steps on his foot. Jake Something thinks he's Batista and he shakes the ropes. The crowd did nothing at that point. They didn't react or anything like that. Jake Something goes for a powerbomb. Macklin counters into an angle slam. Jake rolls to the floor. Macklin goes for a dive, of course. He goes for the bottom rope suicide dive, but gets caught with a forearm. Kazarian on commentary is talking down Jake Something. He's really making heavy insults towards him. To which point he does get in Kazarian's face, but then he powerbombs Macklin on the steel ring steps. So do I, but the crowd didn't seem to care, which is really annoying. Both men make it to the ramp. Obviously, Steve Macklin is on the ground. Jake Something does try to drag him, but it doesn't work. Goes for a powerbomb on Macklin off the stage, but Macklin hits a big back body drop. And then he hits a running dive off the... In a way, he kind of is, I agree. Although there was a Mr. Wonderful 2.0, so we'll say 3.0. Macklin does hit a running dive off the stage. We get back in the ring. Steve Macklin's caught in the Trail of Woe position. And then Macklin goes for his running turnbuckle hanging upside down spear, but he gets caught. Yeah, it was. That's Baltimore for you. Macklin goes for that running upside down spear that he does from the turnbuckle when the opponent's in a Trail of Woe position, but he does get caught. Like, this is a really good spot. He gets caught in a dragon sleeper. But he is stuck in this for about 3 minutes. About a minute, 2 minutes, something like that. Eventually he does fight his way out, Steve Macklin. He does sell it really well that he was going to tap out or even pass out. It was really good. Macklin, out of anger, would then hit a short bursting spear, then he would hit a middle spear, then he would hit a full-on running spear. He then hits his double underhook DDT, the KIA, killed in action, and he secures the pin. The crowd really disappointed me in this one, like, not even reacting to this match. This match was top 3 matches on the card, in my opinion. It was really good. Following the match, we do get a reaction from Macklin talking to Gia Miller. And then Kazarian gets in his face again. Macklin challenges Kazarian instantly to a title match, but Kazarian walks away. I think that's your match at Bound for Glory. Kazarian versus Steve Macklin for the international title. We have 2 matches to go. Absolutely, Maria, that is correct. The crowd did not appreciate what they saw. That is an excellent description. 3.0, but yes. Yeah, fucking Baltimore. The Hardys versus the Rascals. The fact that the Rascals have got the coolest theme song in TNA is just dope. I love their entrance. I love their theme song. But they're a good tag team to watch. If you put them in a time machine and you put them in 2009-10, the Rascals versus the Machine Guns would genuinely be awesome. Or even the Rascals versus Beer Money at that time would be so cool. But yeah, you can absolutely see the crowd were so behind the champions in this one. Huge size difference as well and advantage. The match starts with Matt Hardy and Zachary Vance. Matt works Vance with a side headlock. Vance does escape and hits a couple of drop kicks. Simultaneous tags were made. Myron Reed and Jeff Hardy come into the ring. The Rascals go for super kicks, but they're both blocked. And then they take them down with clotheslines. The Hardys, of course, straight to work, hit their senton leg drop combination on Vance for a near fall. There's a big splash from Jeff on Vance. Again, another near fall. Tags into Matt. Vance dodges a charge and gets caught with a knee. And then classic Matt Hardy does his turnbuckle head spot, deleting Zachary Vance. Jeff tags back in, catches Vance with a dropkick to the back of the head. Vance finally breaks free of the Hardys' grip and clutch. He tags in Reed, hits Matt with a super kick, and then a leg drop to the back of the head from the springboard position for a near fall 2 count only. Both Rascals, Myron Reed and Matt Hardy, double team Matt. There's a chin lock, and then we get a handspring attempt, but he gets caught in a side effect. More clotheslines. We get the low dropkick and elbow from Jeff on Myron Reed. And then on the outside, Jeff hits an old-fashioned splash. Top rope suplex. Vince hits the swanton, but it gets caught by the elbow. Matt has just really good sequence here. Like Jeff Hardy hits the superplex, then Zachary Vance hits the swanton, and then Matt responds with the elbow. Hardy's go for trouble in the poetry in motion, but he gets caught, and then gets the Rascals throw Jeff on Matt. Myron Reed hits Jeff Hardy with the lung blower. And then we get a double stomp. Vince goes to the top rope but gets knocked outside. Reed goes with a stun dog millionaire. He then goes for flame on, but Jeff Hardy blocks it. And then we get a twist of fate from Matt on the outside of the ring. And then Jeff hits the swanton for the 3 count. The very end of the match, we got an embrace from both teams, the handshake, celebratory hugs, and then raising the hands. The Rascals' time is coming, but they should have won this match. It was a bad decision. The Hardys need to give up the titles very soon. They don't need. I don't mind the Hardys as champion. I just don't want them to be champions against the most overrated team in Team 3D. Like, it's just something I don't want to see at all. It doesn't need to be for the championships, or it doesn't need to happen in general, in my opinion. Following this, we get a pointless segment, the second class penthouse. AJ Francis and Rich Swann talk about how they became successful by leaving their home state of Maryland, Baltimore, Maryland. They leave quickly about where they moved. One moved to Texas, the other moved to Florida. Again, nobody cares. The Baltimore Ravens mascot Paul comes out. Francis threatens him. Then comes the system. The chalk and chipmunk Alicia Edwards gets in Francis' face and slaps him. And then Francis and Swan leave. We get the stupid Ravens dance. This was terrible. Like, this was horrible. The fact that we had this before a main event. Pointless. Yeah, I agree with that. The thing is, they can lose them, but what exactly are you going to get out of it? Devon can't do anything, and Bully Ray is useless. What do you get out of it? Makes no sense, you know? If it ends up being for the tag titles, they're absolutely dumb. Anyway, main event time. The TNA World title, just under 17 minutes. It's the second longest match on the card, actually, I think. Let me just double check. No, it's actually the longest by 2 minutes. Okay, that's fine. Main event is Trick Williams defending the title against Moose. Tom Hannafan on commentary. Obviously, he's annoyed that Trick Williams wears the belt upside down. The crowd were behind Trick initially, but then he attacked Paul, the Baltimore Ravens mascot. Who's the best tag team in Attitude Era history? Edge and Christian. Trick Williams, of course, attacked Raven. What the problem as well is this is why on earth is he considered a babyface? This is what I don't like. Is he's meant to be the invader and the heel, but he's being cheered by the crowd. It's really bad. Like, this is really bad. Moose, obviously, in this, he goes on a complete chop tear. In the ring, outside the ring, chopping Trick Williams. He then goes for a powerbomb, but Trick Williams escapes and hits a Hurricane Rana. Moose hits a big boot, but Williams does manage to dodge the charge, and then Moose runs shoulder first into the ring steps. Oh yeah, they have Maria. They really have. Which is really depressing. And the worst thing is I said it was going to happen as well. I was like, the minute they start chanting for him, that's it. This is not TNA crowd anymore. Like a feeling of enjoyment. You shouldn't be chanting for the enemy. You don't chant for the enemy. It makes no sense. Williams then does an Irish whip on Moose at the ring post. He then goes over to the other side where his family was sitting. He starts chopping away at him in front of Moose's mum. Back in the ring, Moose hits a reverse top rope cross body. Crowd does get a little bit of a pop here, and then Williams does recover quickly, and he hits a Moose into the turnbuckle with an overhead belly-to-belly suplex. Yeah, James, I don't disagree, brother. I will praise Trick Williams for one thing he does here, and that's obviously he does slow the pace right down with the guillotine. But what's really annoying is you get dueling crowd chants of Moose and Whoop That Trick. Really embarrassing. Williams then hits a flapjack and does the kip up. We get chop exchanges. If he does not, honestly, if he keeps the title pass Bound for Glory, I will stop watching. Mark my words, I will stop watching. Moose and Trick 2 exchange chops. Williams hits a leaping hangman's neckbreaker for a near fall. We get more dueling chants. and then Trick starts to unload with the forearms. Moose does hit the comeback and hits the Uranagi senton combination for near fall. Williams does hit his pump kick, but then we get a pop-up powerbomb in response for a near fall. Williams does catch Moose as well. He charges at him, he catches him with a cradle, and then hits him with a Uranagi of his own, bookend style Uranagi. Trick Williams goes for a suplex, but Moose manages to kick out of that. Well, he breaks out of it, and then again more chops. God almighty, did Gunther write this match? Moose would then go for the cover, but before he could successfully, Williams rolls out to the floor. On the floor, Moose runs at Williams, but he catches him into a backdrop through the table. And then after that, Williams gets Moose straight back in the ring. Really clever reaction after the backdrop, straight back into the ring. If you gotta do it, you gotta do it. I hate the fact that you get fucking "this is awesome" chants because of suplexes and superplexes and all that bollocks, but yeah. Attempting a clothesline, Moose does evade the clothesline, but the referee does not. We get the ref bump, then Moose hits the spear, but there was no count. With no referee, Williams runs at Moose, but Moose catches him and hits him with a buckle bomb. He goes for the spear again, but gets caught by the trick shot. And the referee does at this point conveniently makes a count, but there's only a 2 count. Moose does hit the headbutt, but misses the spear. And then we get one last trick shot on the back of the head. And then just to spare Moose's pain, he hits a second one on the back of the head, the third overall of the match. And this is the end of the main event. Carlos Silva, for the second time on this show, he is here, and he does present again Trick Williams with the World Championship belt, to which point Santino Marella off air confirms he will make an announcement on the tapings of Impact for tonight. The Impact tapings, he will make an announcement. Victory Road is the next event for TNA. And of course, there's a thank you from Hanifan and Remvolt, and the show concludes. So the mere question is, what is next for TNA? What is next for their championship belts? What is the next point? Victory Road is next month, and then after that is Bound for Glory. We can't seriously have more of Trick as world champion. JC Jane cannot remain champion after Heatwave. If TNA go into Bound for Glory without their major titles in their possession, this is not excitable. This is not meaningful. Like, this is a buzzkill. And people are not going to like that, but it's true. They can bounce back all they want, but it doesn't mean anything. The damage has already been done. I agree, James. I agree. Number 1 and number 2, Trick Williams and JC Jane, drop their titles to, well, drop it back to Masha or Indy Hartwell, and you drop it to Mike Santana. Victory Road, the Hardys must drop the tag titles. Nick Nemeth needs to get back in action. Honestly, Nick Nemeth needs to go after singles gold again. We don't know who Leon Slater's going to challenge for the X Division title, but I'm hoping we get something special. I hope Amazing Red comes out for Victory Road or Bound for Glory to wrestle Leon Slater. That would be dope. We're in for a real rough shot. The question is, what are we going to see? What are we going to find out? Certainly tune in to see it. Zach, you never fail to deliver when it comes to National XYZ Days. You never fail to deliver on that, sir. Thank you very much. I hope you're doing well. But ladies and gentlemen, I for one have enjoyed this stream. I think it's been a good laugh tonight. I think we've had a lot of fun. Everybody's got involved. And even more special is just the enjoyment that we've got from the overall conversation. Catherine, that's the whole point. Screw Ryan Nemeth. He's an absolute fuzzball. We're in for a positive mind. I feel like we're one way around the corner. Could we get something exciting? We'll certainly see. But one thing is for sure is the Weekly Steelchair is absolutely going nowhere. The Weekly Steelchair is on a high. The Weekly Steelchair is thriving as the days go on, the months kick off. And you can see that we are consistently producing content on a daily basis, and it is absolutely brilliant. Another update, obviously. Yeah, Fernando, but you need to hold it this time. Can you do it? That's the question. One thing I would love to say, and I stand by this, ladies and gentlemen, is the N1 tournament is approaching. That's Pro Wrestling Noah. Myself and Josiah will be covering this in full. So stay tuned for that. Tomorrow we will be back to review the playoffs, the semi-finals, and the G1 final. And we're going to go through our favorite performers of the tournament, our best matches, our worst performers. You think it, we'll answer it. That is tomorrow. But in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for supporting the Weekly Steelchair. I thank you for just never failing to appear. You guys were in here an hour before we started tonight. That really means a lot. I honestly couldn't thank you guys any more than I honestly can. You're a great community. You're part of our community. I really do appreciate it. Tomorrow we are back. We are thriving. We are whooping ass. And we are certainly going to be tournament reviewing. And today, our time comes to an end. This has been another exciting stream. Thank you very much for watching. And also, remember, if you get cracked over the head with a steel chair, you're not going to get concussion. You're just going to come back here. Goodbye.